Have you ever noticed how some people don't need to say much, but somehow they control the entire room? They don't shout, beg, or demand attention. Instead, they quietly step back, and suddenly everything changes. The energy around them shifts. People start to notice, they wonder why. They feel drawn in, confused, or even a little desperate. What if you could do the same? What if you stopped reacting to every little thing and chose silence instead? What if instead of exploding in anger or frustration, you simply withdrew with calm control? What do you think would happen? This is the heart of power in the world, of Carl Jung's psychology, the power of rare presence, of becoming someone not easily available to anyone. When you stop being always there, emotionally, mentally, physically, people around you lose their grip. They expect you to react, to answer, to respond, because they control you through your reactions. They predict what you will do next, and use that to their advantage. But the moment you stop giving in, the game changes. Suddenly, those who thought they knew you realize they never really did. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." Think about that for a moment. When you become someone who is hard to reach, who doesn't give away their emotions easily, who doesn't respond to every poke and prod, who gets upset, who tries to make you react, this reveals more about them than it does about you. It shows who is still trying to control you without you even knowing it. We often give ourselves away too easily. We try to keep peace by saying yes when we want to say no. We react instantly to messages, to calls for help, to criticisms, and to provocation, hoping that if we do, others will stay. But deep down, those people were never really there for us. Every forced response, every emotional reaction is like handing away your energy piece by piece. By the end of the day, you feel drained, tired, empty. You might not even understand why. The reason is simple. You are too available for people who don't deserve even a minute of your silent strength. This is not about ignoring the world or turning your back on people. It is about choosing yourself first. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming whole, authentic, and complete. It begins when you realize silence can be stronger than 1,000 arguments, when withdrawing isn't running away, but is instead a conscious act of power. So I ask you, how long will you continue to be controlled by others' emotions? How long will you react like a puppet every time someone touches your wounds? Maybe it's time to cut those strings, to become a mystery. Because when you stop being available all the time, everything changes. From the moment we are young, we are taught to always be present, to respond quickly, to please others, to say yes even when we want to say no. We grow up believing that our value depends on how available we are for others. But here is a truth no one may have told you clearly. Being too available is not a virtue. It's a prison. As long as you keep thinking you need to be accessible all the time, you will be used, drained, and forgotten as soon as you stop serving a purpose. Being predictable makes you a tool for others. They press your emotional emergency button when they want attention, relief, or validation, then put you back on the shelf. You don't see this because you are trapped by an illusion. The illusion that being present for everyone will make someone be present for you. But it doesn't work that way. Carl Jung explained this as the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted and loved. This mask is what keeps you overly available. You say it's okay when you're suffocating inside. You reply to messages immediately, even when you're exhausted. You justify yourself, defend yourself, as if you owe the world something. But the more you put yourself on other people's stages, the more you disappear from your own life. Always being available is a quiet form of self-abandonment. It's a hidden way of seeking approval, avoiding rejection, and trying to control how others see you. But this control comes at a cost. The cost is your peace, your vital energy, and energy is limited, not infinite. People who want you to be available all the time don't really want you. They want what you provide: validation, company, distraction, emotional comfort. When you change and set boundaries, when you refuse to react like before, those same people get upset. They call you weird or accuse you. It's not because you changed, it's because you stopped being useful to them. Here is the cruel truth. The more available you are, the less value others give you. When something is too easy to get, it becomes worthless. No one respects what they don't have to earn. No one values what is always there. So stop and ask yourself, who really deserves your time? Who deserves your attention, your presence, your listening? Or more importantly, who deserves your absence? But before answering, we need to understand something essential. Why do we react so much? Why do we give in so easily? Why do we feel the need to respond, to justify, to please? The answer lies in what Carl Jung called psychic energy. This is what keeps us going emotionally and mentally. And if you don't learn to protect your psychic energy, someone else will use it against you. Carl Jung didn't see the mind as a machine that reacts without cost. To him, the mind is an energy system. Every thought, feeling, and action uses up some of that energy. The real question is, are you choosing where your energy goes, or is the world deciding for you? Every time you react without thinking, you waste psychic energy. When you defend yourself from a criticism that doesn't matter, when you try to prove you're right in a pointless argument, when you please those who don't care about you, you are burning your inner strength on things that don't feed your soul. Jung said, what you resist persists. The more you react, the more you bind yourself. People who live emotionally drained are not weak, they are misdirected. And when you live exhausted, you become vulnerable. Vulnerability makes you easy prey for manipulative, opportunistic, and emotionally needy people. These people can sense your weakness. They see that you don't guard your energy. They notice that you react to everything and try to fix the world, and they take advantage of it. Jung said, a healthy mind is one that knows how to keep energy inside its system. That means knowing how to say no without guilt, how to stay silent without feeling afraid, and how to watch carefully before acting. True power isn't in reacting fast, it's in choosing when and how to act. And this choice comes only when you know yourself well enough to recognize your own impulses. How many nights have you lost sleep over a fight or an argument? How many hours have you wasted replaying what you should have said, or trying to understand why someone treated you badly? That's energy being drained without any return. You are keeping ghosts alive that should have died long ago. You're feeding toxic situations that only exist because you refuse to let go. Psychic energy is like a force field. When it's well guarded, you enter a room and command respect without saying a word. But when it's poorly managed, you become invisible, reactive, and fragile. And the world shows no mercy to those who give in too easily. Now imagine how your life could change if you started protecting your psychic energy like a treasure. If you stopped reacting to every little thing. If you learned to say no without feeling guilty. If you realized that sometimes silence is your strongest answer. This is what it means to be rare. This is what it means to demand respect. Not by loud words or aggressive fights, but by holding your power quietly inside you. So ask yourself honestly, how rare are you? And how much respect are you truly commanding? Because when you become rare, when you become someone who is hard to reach but impossible to ignore, that is when people start respecting you deeply. Not because they have to, but because they can't help it. When you're rare, you get respect. But what does it really mean to be rare? It means you don't react like everyone else. You don't give your energy away to every little thing. You protect your mind, your emotions, your time. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, taught us something deep about this. How to guard your energy and stop being a puppet in other people's games. Today, we'll dive into how your reactions give away your power, how to become truly sovereign over yourself, and why silence is the most dangerous weapon in your emotional toolkit. First, start watching yourself closely. Notice what triggers your anger, your anxiety, your sadness, the moments when you lose control and your energy just slips away. These are the cracks in your armor, the places where emotional energy leaks out and leaves you feeling drained. But don't misunderstand. This isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about being selective with your energy. It's about becoming the master of your own reactions. This is the key to self-sovereignty. Being in control of your mind, not letting others control it for you. Here's one of Jung's biggest secrets. When you conserve your energy, you break the projections that others throw onto you. What does that mean? Projection is when people see in you what they refuse to see in themselves. They push their fears, their weaknesses, their anger onto you. And it's exhausting. It's like carrying a weight that isn't yours. But when you stop feeding those projections, when you stop reacting the way they expect, you stop playing their game. That silence, that refusal to engage, is terrifying for those who rely on your energy to feel powerful. Opportunistic people are experts at this. They don't need to yell or force you. They just press your buttons, the weak spots you haven't protected. You react automatically, and they gain control. Jung called this projection, a psychological trick where people project their own inner shadows onto others. But there's a darker side most don't see. While others project onto you, you become a blank canvas, an emotional sponge absorbing their expectations and needs. You might know that friend who only calls when they're in trouble, or the partner who only needs you when they can't handle life on their own. You're not being seen for who you are. You're being seen as a role you play. You agree to it out of fear, fear of rejection, fear of loneliness, fear of being unloved. This is the quietest form of manipulation, the kind that sneaks in like a shadow. It's not loud or angry. It's the guilt that makes you feel like you owe something to others. The pressure to always be available, to help, to understand, even when it costs your own peace. The manipulator doesn't need to control you directly. They just need you to keep reacting the same way, to keep playing your role. But the moment you say no, the cycle breaks. When you stop explaining yourself, stop justifying your silence, the mask they have painted on you starts to crack. That's when people get unsettled. They don't recognize you anymore. Worse, they have to face themselves, and not everyone is ready for that kind of mirror. Your unavailability is a threat to their control. It forces them to confront the emptiness inside themselves. When you offer silence, it exposes the noise inside their own mind, the chaos they hide from. And when that happens, the attacks start. The criticism, the emotional chaos, not because you're wrong, but because you stopped being their mirror. Jung said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. When you stop feeding the cycle, their shadow comes out, and it's unbearable for those who relied on you as their escape." So what about you? Are you ready to face the discomfort of being misunderstood, the pain of rejection or even attack, just because you're protecting your own energy? Are you ready to sit in the silence that follows cutting those toxic ties? Because it is exactly in that silence that a new kind of power is born, the power of control over your own life. The world today is loud. Everyone wants to be heard, to respond instantly, to win pointless arguments, to prove their point even if it costs their peace of mind. But there is a hidden power, one few understand and fewer still master. That is the power of silence. Not the silence of fear or weakness, but a sharp, clear silence filled with presence and strength. Jung saw silence not as empty space, but as fertile ground for inner growth. When you stop reacting, you start observing. You see the patterns, the emotional cycles, the manipulative games, the ways you've been sabotaging yourself. Silence brings clarity, and clarity scares those who want to control you. Notice how some people panic when you don't respond. They don't miss you. They fear losing the control they have over your reactions. As long as you speak, you are still playing their game. But when you fall silent, you change the rules, and that breaks their power. True silence is mastery of your own energy. It means refusing to be pulled into battles that drain you. It means choosing your words carefully, knowing that each sentence costs energy and that not everyone deserves access to your truth. Jung taught that individuation, the process of becoming your true self, requires this distance from the noise of the world. Only in silence can you hear your own voice clearly. But silence comes with a cost. It will push away people who valued you only for the role you played, not for who you truly are. It will confuse those who only saw their own reflection in you. They might call you cold, distant, or arrogant, but this is their discomfort speaking, not your failure. The more you grow, the more selective you become with your energy, your time, your attention. You learn that your silence is not retreat, but sovereignty. This silence forces others to face their own inner chaos, the thoughts and feelings they'd rather avoid. That discomfort reveals more about them than any argument ever could. You don't owe anyone explanations for your silence or your absence. You owe only yourself the right to protect your energy. And this scares people who thrived on your emotional availability. The most powerful silence isn't the one that unsettles others. It's the one that rebuilds you from the inside out. It reconnects you with your essence, far beyond the need for external approval. In this space, free from demands, you begin to heal, to grow, to reclaim your vital energy. But it's not enough to simply cut out the noise around you. You must also learn how to use your energy wisely. Choose carefully where your time and attention go and where they don't. Learn to be selective with your soul. If you're starting this journey of reclaiming your energy and setting boundaries, you'll find true value in resources like my book Beyond the Shadow. It dives deep into Jung's ideas and offers tools to protect your energy and reconnect with your true self. Understanding these ideas isn't enough if you keep saying yes when you want to say no, if you keep answering messages that drain you, or stay stuck in empty relationships. Awareness without action is just another form of self-deception. Real transformation begins when you decide to be selective. This demands emotional discipline. Conscious unavailability isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about refusing to be accessible to everyone at all times for every reason. It's about controlling your energy, your time, your peace. Start small. Don't reply immediately. Take a breath before you react. Leave conversations before they turn into chaos. Turn off your phone without guilt. Say no without explaining. Yourself. You owe no one your silence, no one your presence, and this many find unforgivable. When you refuse to explain, you strip away their power to trap you in their emotional story, the one where you're always the helper, the listener, the fix-it. Jung knew that every step toward your true self involves isolation, not a lonely sadness, but a sacred retreat to listen to your own voice without the world's noise. Here, you rebuild your identity not from others' expectations, but from your own center. Want to measure your growth? Watch who distances themselves when you become more reserved. Watch who tries to provoke you when you stop reacting. Watch who accuses you of changing when you finally protect yourself. These are not signs that you're wrong. They're proof. You're breaking free. Being unavailable is uncomfortable at first. You'll feel guilty, selfish, harsh, but this discomfort is part of breaking free from a lifetime of putting others first. Change is never easy. It unsettles not just you, but everyone who benefited from your old self. Remember, your energy is precious. When you stop feeding the cycle, you reclaim your power. When you become rare, when you stop reacting like everyone else, you earn real respect. And respect, true respect, comes not from pleasing others, but from commanding your own life with quiet, unshakable strength.